Today's video is a continuation of 5 ways to identify false prophets. I strongly recommend you watch the first video, which will be linked in the video at the end of this one, so you can check to see if any of these red flags rings familiar. The characteristics mentioned here are common across false prophets, and hopefully this video will put your mind at ease once and for all. And if in the course of this video you discover you've been a victim, share your story in the comment section below, and we'll be sure to cover you in prayer. This is Tremi. Number 6. They are proud and arrogant. These so-called men of God love to be acknowledged and recognized everywhere they go. Have you seen churches where the congregants run to kneel before them the moment they walk in? And if these false prophets are not received in this manner, they express displeasure, and some will simply turn around and go back to wherever it is they came from. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to honor your pastor. But when the honor is elevated to human worship, that's where we should draw the line. Speaking of arrogance, the false prophets love to toot their own horns. They love to talk trash about other pastors, and often make comparisons to them. They like to be seen as the ultimate servants of God. In fact, they see themselves as God's equal. If we closely look at the prophets of the Bible, they were never involved in the kind of bashing that we see today. A true prophet or pastor should be keen on preaching the gospel and winning souls. The endless bickering, showing off, and meaningless comparisons is what has destroyed churches today. What happened to humility? Jesus, the Son of the Most High God, never once displayed pride or arrogance. Pride is of the devil. Therefore, anyone who displays such is working for the devil and not God. Number 7. They love to flaunt their wealth publicly. These false prophets are often seen on social media platforms flaunting their high-end cars, expensive mansions, and vacations. The wealth they flaunt out here is often sourced from their congregants through dubious means. That is why they are big on the prosperity gospel. They are never really interested in preaching righteousness. It's always about what you can get from God when you give. The more you give, the more you receive. This is the basis of their messages. While it is true that God does bless people immensely, they make people believe that God can only bless them if they give to Him. The deceived believer will be quick to sell their properties, cars, and their houses. They then go on to bring the proceeds to the so-called prophets, who will then begin to develop themselves at their congregants' expense. If you notice your pastor is constantly flaunting his wealth on social media, consider this a red flag. However much God has blessed us with material things, He has called us to be humble and not attached to fleeting glory. Number 8. They do not like to associate with the less fortunate. Unless the cameras are rolling, they do not like to be in the company of the less fortunate. You will notice that they blatantly ignore the requests of their poor congregants, but they are so quick to honor the requests of the wealthy. They prefer the wealthy because they know they can contribute towards sustaining their extravagant lifestyles. The less fortunate have nothing they can benefit from, so why make an effort? This is a clear red flag because the Bible denounces showing partiality on the basis on people's financial status. Here's what the Bible says in James chapter 2, verse 2-4. For if a man comes into your meeting place wearing a gold ring and fine clothes, and a poor man in dirty clothes also comes in, and you pay attention to the one who wears the fine clothes, and say to him, you seat here in this good seat, and you tell the poor man, you stand over there, or sit down on the floor by my footstool. Have you not discriminated among yourselves and become judges with wrong motives? If this is something you've noticed with your pastor, then you know he's not a man of God. Number 9. They render help to the needy publicly. These false prophets love to be seen helping the poor or needy. They often take their camera crew with them to children's homes or other charitable places and have them record them handing out basic necessities to the less fortunate. Quite often, they upload these videos on their social pages so people can praise them for their good deeds. Let's hear what the Bible has to say about this. Be careful not to do your good deeds publicly, to be seen by men. Otherwise, you will have no reward with your Father who is in heaven. So whenever you give to the poor and do acts of kindness, do not blow a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, so that they may be honored and recognized and praised by men. I assure you, and most solemnly say to you, they already have their reward in full. But when you give to the poor and do acts of kindness, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your charitable deeds will be done in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Any preacher you know that does charitable deeds publicly is a false teacher. Don't allow yourself to be deceived. Deception is often subtle, so it's very easy to miss the things we are mentioning in this video. Number 10. They are quick to threaten to curse their congregants whenever they want to leave, or they question or defy their orders. False prophets often feel threatened when their wealthy congregants want to leave their church. They need you there, so you can continue to finance their lavish lifestyles. They will often respond with threats, saying that if you leave, you will die or you'll lose everything. And if you remain adamant about leaving, they will openly tell you that they'll curse you. If you've also raised genuine concerns about certain misgivings in the church, and you were faced with open threats of a possible excommunication, run. At the very least, they should offer a sound explanation for the issues at hand. Being dodgy or giving half-baked answers are very clear signs that something's amiss. Please never ignore your instincts in such instances. If the answers are not satisfactory, take a break and decide if that's where you want to be. Observe how other inquisitive members are dealt with. Are they heard or simply shunned? Sometimes the experience doesn't have to be your own. If you notice such patterns that keep repeating themselves over and over, maybe it's time you found a sound place to worship. False prophets have been there since time immemorial, and they are still here with us today. Their tactics keep evolving, and it takes the spirit of discernment to detect them. Most likely, you will not initially know that you are under deception because they tend to put up a facade. It's only when you've spent some time under their teachings that you begin to notice certain discrepancies. Some are lucky to have detected and come out early, but some are still operating under their deception. More often than not, they are quick to defend their preachers without reasoning or taking time to establish the truth. It's important that you pray for God to open their eyes, that they may see what's really happening. That's all for today. Hopefully, you'll be able to easily pick out false prophets with these tips and save yourself from deception and the consequences that come with it. If you missed the first video on 5 ways to identify false prophets, click on the in video at the end of this one. And if you found value in this video, do well to like this video and click the subscribe button so you can get notified every time we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.